Westworld just confirmed another big theory in its latest episode, Trace Decay, and we are going to unpack it here on IGN. Full spoilers, so if you haven't seen Westworld episode 8, get out of here, watch it, come back, because Ahmad, it's official. It's officially official. There are multiple timelines. Taking place seemingly at the same time on Westworld. Now, we didn't get answers to the biggest question regarding multiple timelines, which is William really the same person as the Man in Black? If that is the case, I'm assuming we'll get that by the finale. But what did you think about specifically Dolores' storyline, where we see her sort of bugging out and having these visions of multiple timelines at the same time? Were you surprised, or did you sort of expect that?
I think I'm not making any expectations of the show. I'm just gonna follow it wherever it goes. Every time I think I'm like, okay, I think I've gotten everything sorted out, and then, oh, nope, everything's not, it's kind of what you thought, but not in the way that you thought it was. And I think most of us have been like, there's gotta be multiple timelines, with whether it's differences in logos and differences in uniforms, or different hosts in different garb or in different places. We've known it's going on, we just never really got the explicit, this is a thing. And so it was nice to finally go, okay, we're all on the same board, we're all in the same place as far as what we think is going on.
So I do have a theory about what is happening with Dolores that we'll get to in a little bit, but I want to ask you, obviously going back to the beginning of this series, looking back and knowing now that there are in fact multiple timelines, we're going to have a completely different viewing experience. But why do you think that it's important that this story is taking place over multiple different narratives and storylines or timelines? I
think it allows them to tell a much larger story in a non-linear fashion than if they just told it linear and you're like, okay, then there's this and there's, they can keep it a lot more interesting. They're telling different parts of the story at the same time. And also it kind of cuts out all the backstory that you would need if you started all the way in the future, or if you started in the middle and you got to tell a little in the past, a little in the present. I think it's super convenient storytelling device, and it also makes it way more entertaining than it would be.
And I think there are at least 4 timelines that we know about right now. And interestingly, 3 of them are hinged around Tallulah Riley's character. She played the host that William met at the beginning of episode 2 when he was welcomed into Westworld, and we saw her in 2 other storylines here. We saw her in the original town that Dolores is having flashes to, and then we also see her in what we assume is the present storyline with the Man in Black, and the Man in Black's comment is, oh, I assume that you would have been retired by now, that Ford would have retired you, which is a hint to me that maybe he is the same person as William, because that would seem to apply. Like, of course, you'd remember the first host you met, right? But then the other timeline is about a year before the present storyline, when the Man in Black attacked Maeve, which we also got a lot more insight into this episode.
It was all bad.
Just terrible things.
I was like, bad.
I thought that was so interesting, finding out basically, like, we find out the Man in Black's backstory, again, not confirming the theory that he is William, not giving us his name still, but really getting insight into Maeve through his storyline. I thought was really fascinating. But my theory about Dolores, so we see her bugging out. We see her when she's at the creek. She sees her dead body. She turns around. William isn't there anymore. And right before this scene, Ford is talking to Bernard, and he basically says some hosts get so drawn into these memories that they get lost into them. And right after that, it cuts to Dolores doing this, and then, it's actually her walking with William when she sees the town. And I think that she is actually so lost in this memory after the event of the Man in Black that we saw in the pilot, that she's actually been going on this journey, but just remembering William. I think she's been alone pretty much the entire time, retracing her steps, and that she's already been to the center of the maze with Arnold. There's a theory that I read that Joanna Robinson at Vanity Fair wrote, that that the scenes with Bernard and Dolores, when they're like in that sort of hidden room, is actually Dolores and Arnold, and that's the conversation she was talking about before, that she's like, Arnold's waiting for me there. But I think she's trying to retrace her steps. Now, whether the maze is meant for her, it's meant for Maeve, it's clearly, to me, meant for a host and not the Man in Black. But I think that's a big question, but I definitely think that she's been sort of traveling solo on this journey.
We kind of talked about before, there's a lot of shots where there are 2 characters in a scene and somebody moves and the other character isn't in the shot anymore, where you would expect them to be.
It's like a different shot from a different perspective, and suddenly William's not behind her anymore.
Another thing about the non-linear editing of this show is this is going to encourage a lot of repeat viewing.
Which is great.
A lot.
Like with a video game, which this show is so frequently compared to, you want some replay value, you want some rewatch value.
You're gonna like. I saw one thing where they mentioned that there was a scene with Dolores, and of the voice what it appears the voice she hears in her head is Bernard. So it's like, oh, which would land more to the Arnold theory.
I keep meaning to go back and rewatch and re-listen to that, and even in this episode, like, we seem to hear Arnold's voice, and I'm like, I don't even pay attention because I'm so wrapped up in the mysteries.
I think once the last episode happens, I think a lot of people are either going to start all the way at the beginning, which I might do, or go back 1 or 2 episodes for kind of more recent stuff. But there's multiple layers here, and it's so far it's been pretty interesting.
Well, we have plenty of time to rewatch because while Westworld has been renewed for season 2, it's expected that it won't air until 2018.
Thanks,
so
HBO.
plenty of time to stew on the final 2 episodes. Even though we did get this confirmation of this theory, like we said, there are a lot of unanswered questions still out there, namely about who the Man in Black is, whether he's William or someone else, who Arnold is, now who Wyatt is. There are a lot of new mysteries around that, and also what exactly is going on with Dolores, because she has no idea what's going on, and I don't think we are supposed to know either.
Or who's the possible third person in the photo?
Right.
Is Bernard actually not able to see a third person in the photo because it's definitely framed like there's 3 people in there?
Well, in this,
and who's the person who's supposed to be Arnold in that photo?
In this episode, we did see him erase a photograph from his own memory, so I'm sure that happened again in that photo. I'm really looking forward to whatever we find out in these next 2 episodes. I'm guessing we're going to get some big answers to big theories. So make sure to keep it here at IGN for all your Westworld needs and for all your TV and theory needs in general.
All that stuff.